Hello students, I am Krishna Nagar, your maths teacher, and today we are going to start our next chapter, that is polynomial. Now, what is polynomial? Polynomial is an algebraic expression which includes constants, variables and exponents. It is the expression in which the variables have only positive integral power. That means the whole numbers, only whole numbers. Now, for example, you can see here that 4x cubed plus 3x square plus x plus 3. It is a polynomial in variable x. So, if we write down 4x square plus 3x minus 1 minus 4, it is not a polynomial. Why? Because it is having a negative power. That means that is x raised to power minus 1. Now, if we are taking, let's take one more example. If 3x raised to power 3 by 4 plus 2x minus 3. It is also not a polynomial because the variable x is having power 3 by 4. Now, here in this given example, you can see that 2x square plus 3y plus 2. Now, in this example, 2, 3 and 2. These are the constant numbers. Okay. Now, the numbers which are written along with the variables, these are known as the coefficient. So, 2 is the coefficient for x square, 3 is the coefficient of y. Now, the term 2, this is known as constant. How many terms are there? The numbers which are separated by the sign of plus and minus, these are known as terms. So, here we have 3 terms, 2x square plus 3y and 2. These are the 3 terms over there. Now, we can denote polynomial as px. Now, polynomial x, which is in the form of, which is written in bracket, it indicates that the polynomial is having x variables. That means x is the variable for the polynomial. Generally, we use these if we are having the all the same type of variable in that polynomial, then we denote as px, gx, qx or something like. If the variables are in the form of y, then we denote py. So this is how we denote the polynomials. Next is polynomials. In the above polynomial, you have seen that 2x square, 3y and 2 are the terms of the polynomials. 2 and 3 are the coefficient as we discussed already. So now, polynomials in one variable. As I told you that px denotes the polynomials in x variables. So, if there is only one variable in the expression, then it is called polynomial in one variable. It means that the whole polynomial, the type of variables are single. For example, you can see that x cubed plus x minus 4 is a polynomial in variable x and it is denoted by px. So, if we use r square plus 2, it is a polynomial in the variable r and it will be denoted by pr. So, now types of polynomial. The polynomials could be categorized on 2 bases. That means there are types of polynomials and the bases are 2 bases. First, the number of terms. That means, as I told you, that the numbers which are separated by on the basis of with the signs plus and minus, these are the different terms. Now, when we talk about the number of terms, there are different polynomials. Here you can see that in this table, the number of non-zero terms are 0, 1, 2 and 3. So, on this, there are zero polynomials, monomials, binomials, trinomials and so on. For example, if we consider a constant, do you know that constants are also known as polynomials of 0 degree? Why is this so? Because we can write any number x to the power 0. So, it is the polynomial of 0. Now, monomials. If the polynomial having single term, then it is known as monomial. If the polynomial is having 2 terms, then it is known as binomial. And if the polynomial is having 3 terms, then it is known as trinomial. And this is like, and so on. The degree of a polynomial. The highest value of the highest power of the variable in any polynomial is the degree of the polynomial. Now, the types of polynomial. Constant polynomials, linear polynomials, quadratic polynomials and cubic polynomials. These are on the basis of degree. That means that constant polynomials, they are of 0 degree. Linear polynomials, that means the polynomial having 1 degree are the linear polynomials. If the polynomials degree of the polynomial is 2, then it is a quadratic, and if the degree is 3, then it is a cubic polynomial. We can discuss this with an example. Now, what are constant polynomials? As I told you that if the degree of the polynomial is 0, then it is a constant polynomial. So, for example, the numbers, constant numbers 2, 3, 5, we can write it as 2x to the power 0. So, it is a constant polynomial. If we write 2x plus 5, y plus 5, t plus 7, these are the linear polynomials because the degree of the variable in this is 1. If we write 2x square plus 5, x square plus 2x, 2 upon 7x and so on, then these are the quadratic polynomials because they are having 2 degrees. Now, cubic. If we write x cube. Now, this is a cubic polynomial. Here, it is a monomial. The cubic monomial, we can say that cubic monomial, that means it is having 1 term and the degree of the polynomial is 3. The next one is 2x cube plus x plus 1. Now, we can say that it is a cubic trinomial because it is having degree 3 and the number of terms are 3. So, you can name it as this also. Now, next is the 0 of the polynomial. 0 of the polynomial are same as the solution of an equation. If we are having any polynomial px, then a number a is known as the 0 of that polynomial if we place the value a in place of y and the result becomes 0. That means any value of x which gives the whole value, which convert the whole value of whole polynomial as 0 is known as the 0 of the polynomial. We can find the 0 of the polynomial by placing the value of whole polynomial as 0. To find the 0, that means to find out the value which gives the result 0 for any polynomial, we will equate this equal to 0. For example, the polynomial px is equal to x minus 4. Now, we want to find out the 0 of this particular polynomial. Then what will we do? We will place x minus 4 is equal to 0. Now, by solving this, we get x is equal to 4. So, x is equal to 4 is the 0 of the polynomial. We can prove it also because if we place x is equal to 4 in the given polynomial, the value becomes 0. So, 4 is the polynomial of this, 4 is the 0 of this polynomial. Now, the root of the polynomial is basically x-intercept of the polynomial, or we can say root means the solution, or the 0 of the polynomial is the x-intercept of the polynomial. Here in the diagram you can see that there is a polynomial. That means a diagram of that polynomial is given to you. Whenever it crosses the points on x-axis, these are the zeros for that particular polynomial. Now, as it is not of your level, but still the number of times the curve crosses the x-axis, it is the number of roots. If it is crossing the x-axis once, it means it is a linear polynomial. If it is crossing the x-axis twice, it means that the polynomial is having 2 solutions. That means it is a quadratic polynomial. If it crosses it thrice, then it gives us 3 solutions, 3 zeros. It means that the polynomial is having cubic polynomial. If the polynomial, this is how. So now, if the polynomial has one root, it will intersect the x-axis once. If it's quadratic, then it will intersect twice. If it is cubic, then it will intersect thrice. So this is how the intercept is cut on this. Now let's consider the example. Find P1 for the polynomial Pt is equal to t square minus t plus 1. Here a polynomial is given to us. What we have to do? We have to find the value. Now P1 means we have to find the value of the polynomial at point P. To find out the value of the polynomial at point P, what we have to do? We will place, or we can say we will replace x by 1. It means we have to put the value of t is equal to 1 in the given polynomial. Now when we put t is equal to 1, it becomes 1 square minus 1 plus 1. So the result would be 1. So P1 is equal to 1. So this is how we may find the different values of the polynomial. Next one is the remainder theorem. So we know that the property of division which follows the basic division, that is dividend is equal to divisor into quotient plus remainder, that is the remainder theorem only. This remainder theorem is also followed in polynomials. So if Px and Gx are two polynomials in which the degree of Px is greater than degree of Gx. Suppose there are two polynomials, the degree of Px is greater than the degree of Gx and Gx is not equal to 0. Then we can get Qx and Rx. That means we can get the quotient as well as the remainders, and it would be written as Px is equal to Gx into Qx plus Rx. Okay, so Gx is the quotient, Gx is the dividend, Qx is the quotient and Rx is the remainder. So Rx could be 0. If Rx is 0, then the remainder is 0. That means the Px could be factorized in the form of Gx. It is said that Px divided by Gx gives Qx as quotient and Rx as remainder. Now let us understand this with the help of an example. Now division of any polynomial with monomial. Suppose here it is given that 3x cube plus x square plus x divided by x. Now the trinomial is divided by x, that means monomial. Now you can see that the degree of this Gx, that means the second polynomial is 1, the first polynomial it is 3. So the degree of Px is greater than Gx. Okay. Now when we divide the whole trinomial with the x, then it would result 3x cube plus x square plus x divided by 3. So each term will be divided by each term. So it would result 3x square plus x plus 1. Here x is the common factor, so we have divided it. Now here the remainder is 0. So we can write down 3x square plus x is equal to x into 3x square plus x plus 1. Okay. So this is how the remainder theorem works here. Now here 3x square plus x plus 1 and x are the factors of the Px, that is 3x square plus x square plus x. Now step of division of polynomials with a non-zero polynomial. So it is a monomial. Suppose we have to divide a binomial, trinomial by a binomial. Let's consider the one more example. Divide x square minus 3x minus 10 by 2 plus x. Now we are dividing this. So what are the steps we have to follow? First step is to write the dividend and divisor in the descending order, that is in the standard form. What we have to do, we have to follow certain steps. Write the dividend and the divisor in the decreasing order, that is the standard form. That means we have to arrange them in the descending form. First we have to mention the highest degree, then the second, then the third one, and so on. Fourth, the dividend and the divisor. Then divide the first term with the dividend with the first term of the divisor. Suppose here is what we have to do, we have to divide the first term by the whole divisor. So x square upon x is equal to x, like this we have to divide. Now the second step. Now multiply the divisor with this term of the quotient and the subtracted. Suppose in this given example x plus 2 is the divisor. So we have to divide x square by this. So we will first focus on the first term. So we will multiply x plus 2 with x. So it would result x square plus 2x. So we will write down it below the given dividend. Now we will subtract. When we subtract plus x square become minus x square, that means the sign would be changed, and plus 2x will become minus 2x. When we subtract, x will be cancelled out by x, and minus 3x minus 2x will added, and it will give minus 5x minus 10. Now the third step, this is the second step. Now what will we do? We will again check out the remainder. If the remainder, degree of the remainder is smaller than the degree of divisor, then we'll stop it. Now if the remainder is the new dividend, if the degree is greater or equal to the divisor, then we will keep doing this step. So we will see that 5x divided by x is equal to 5, so we can divide it. So we will multiply the term with 5, so it would result to 5 into x plus 2, so 5x plus 10. Now again the sign would be changed, okay, so minus 5x plus 10x, so x term will be cancelled, 5x would be cancelled out by plus 5x, and plus 10 and minus 10 both will be cancelled out, and the remainder become 0. So this is how we will do the division of polynomials. Hence we can write it as x square minus 3x minus 10 is equal to x plus 2 into x minus 5. So here we can see that these two are the factors of this given polynomial. So dividend is equal to divisor into quotient plus remainder. So this is the remainder theorem. It says that if px is the any polynomial of degree greater than or equal to 1, or let t that is the any real number, and px divided by the linear polynomial x minus t, then the remainder is pt. That is the remainder theorem. As we know that px is equal to gx into qx plus rx. So if px is divided by x minus t, then if x is equal to t, then pt is equal to t minus t into q into t plus 0. So to find the remainder or check whether it is a multiple of the polynomial, we can simply use a remainder theorem. We can place the value of the in the polynomial, and if the remainder becomes 0, then it is a factor of that particular polynomial. Let's understand with the help of this given example. Now what is the remainder if a raised to power 4 plus a cube minus 2a square plus a plus 1 is divided by a minus 1. Okay, so you have to find the remainder. The simple method or the general method is to divide the whole polynomial by a minus 1. And by using remainder theorem, how we are going to do this? We will simply place a is equal to 1 in the polynomial and find out the solution. When we place a is equal to 1, then it becomes a raised to power 4 plus a cube plus minus 2a1 square plus 1 plus 1. So when we solve, we get 2. So by using remainder theorem, we can easily say that the 2 will be the remainder of this question. Now the factor theorem. Factor theorem says that if py is a polynomial with degree n greater than 1 and a t is a real number, then y minus t is a factor of py. If pt is equal to 0 and pt is equal to 0, if t minus y minus t is the factor of py. It means that if any number is a factor, then if we subtract from the polynomial, that would become the factor of that particular polynomial. Let's understand this with the help of example. Now we have to check whether gx is equal to x minus 3 is the factor of px is equal to x cube minus 4x square plus x plus 6. So a polynomial is given to us, the gx polynomial is given to us. We have to check whether gx is a factor of px or not. So for this we can use the factor theorem. According to the factor theorem, if x minus 3 is the factor of px, then p3 is equal to 0. That means if we place 3 if we replace 3 with x, then it would result 0. So let's do this. Now we will place 3 in place of x. So it becomes 3 cube minus 4 3 square plus 3 minus 6. And when we solve it, we will get 0. So according to the factor theorem, gx is a factor of px. For example, now take then one more example. Find the value of k if x minus 1 is the factor of px. X square minus root 2x plus 1. Okay, so we have to find the value of k in this given polynomial, and it is given to us that x minus 1 is the factor of this polynomial. Now, as we know that x minus 1 is the factor of this given polynomial, so it must be that p1 is equal to 0. Okay, now p1 is equal to 0, it means that if we place 1 in spite of x, the result would be 0. So we will replace x by 1. So it becomes k 1 square minus root 2 into 1 plus 1 is equal to 0. So k minus root 2 plus 1 is equal to 0. So this will result k is equal to root 2 minus 1. So this is how this factor theorem is used. Now, factorization of polynomials. Factorization can be done by 3 methods. Okay. The first one is by taking out the common factor. If we have to factorize x square minus x, suppose, then here we can see that x is the common factor in both, because x square and x. So x is the common. So we can write it as x into x minus 1. So the factors of x square minus x is x multiplied by x minus 1. This is the first method, that is taking the common. Second method is by grouping. If the number of terms in the polynomials are more, then we form groups of that terms and find the common factor and then make the factors. Now let's consider this example, that is AB plus BC plus AX plus CX. Now here we can take two terms, AB and BC together and AX and CX together. So we can see, we can take B common from AB plus BC, so it would be B into A plus C. And again we take common X from AX and plus CX, so it would become X into A plus C. Now we can see that A plus C is common in both the terms, so it would result A plus C into B plus X. So this is how we can factorize by using grouping. The third method is by splitting the middle terms. By splitting the middle terms means if we write this middle term in such a way that we are able to take common from both the terms, then this term is used. Suppose in this, if we are able to write down B in two numbers such P and Q, that if we multiply them, it would result C. Then we will split B in such a way that it becomes like this. Okay, so x square plus P plus Q into x plus PQ. So we will take common from these and it will become x plus P and x plus Q, right? This shows that we have to split the middle term in such a way that the sum of the terms become the middle term, and when we multiply both the terms, it would result the third term. Now, it would be more convenient to understand with the help of example. Let's consider this example, that is 6x square plus 17x plus 5. Now we have to do this question by using splitting the midterms. In this question, we have to split the midterm, that means the 17, in such a way that when we add it again, it becomes 17, and when we multiply it, it must become the multiplication of first term, that is 6, and the last term, that is 5. So we have to think about the such numbers. So now when we want to, it means that we will write down P plus Q is equal to 17 and 6 P into Q is equal to 30. So we will make the factors of 30. For doing such questions, what we have to do, we have to make the factors of 30. It could be 2, 3, 5, 6. Okay, so 2, 3 and 5, these are the factors of for this. So we have to arrange them in such a way that it become sum should be 17 and multiplication should be 30. So we can see that if we take 2 plus 15, So when we add them, it would result 17, and when we multiply them, it will result 30. So we will split 17x into 2x and 15x. Now we will take common 2x from 6x square and 2x. So it would be 3x plus 1. Similarly, we take 3 common from 15x and 5. 5 common from 15x and 5. So it will result 3x plus 1. Now in both the terms, 3x plus 1 is the common factor. So we will take 3x plus 1 as the common factor, and the remaining will be 2x plus 5. So this is how we can use the splitting the middle term method to form the factors of the numbers. Now next topic is algebraic identities. Now what are identities? Identities are the algebraic expressions which are true for all. It means whatever value you assign to that x and y, that is always equal. Okay, so there are important identities. The first one is x plus y whole square, that is equal to x square plus xy plus x square plus 2xy plus y square. Second is x minus y whole square, it is equal to x square minus 2xy plus y square. The third is x plus y into x minus y, it would result x square minus y square. The fourth one is x plus a into x plus y, so it would result x square plus a plus b into x plus ab. And the next one is x plus y plus z whole square, so it would result x square plus y square plus z square plus 2xy plus 2yz plus 2zx. The third one, the sixth one is the x plus y whole cube, that means it would result x cube plus y cube plus 3xy into x plus y, or you can say x cube plus y cube plus 3x square y plus 3y x square. The next one is 7, that is x minus y whole cube, x cube minus y cube minus 3xy into x minus y, or x cube minus y cube minus 3x square y plus 3xy xy square. The eighth one is x square plus y square, so it would be x plus y into x square minus xy plus y square. X cube minus y cube, it would result x minus y into x square plus xy plus y square. The 10th one is x cube plus y cube plus z cube minus 3xyz, it would result x plus y plus z into x square plus y square plus z square minus xy minus yz minus zx. So these are the identities. Now we can factorize or solve the equation using these identity also. So let's consider this example, that is x cube plus 27y cube plus 36x square y plus 54x y square. Now what we have to do, we have to factorize it. So this given expression could be written as 2x whole cube plus 3y whole cube plus 4x square into 3y plus 2x into 9y square. So this is how we can write this. So it will, using the identity, that is a plus x plus y whole cube, we can write it as x 2x plus 3y whole cube. Okay, so this is how the identities are also used for factorization. Let's consider the next example. Now factorize 4x square plus y square plus z square minus 4xy minus 2yz plus 4xz. So now we have to factorize this. Here you can see that you can convert these terms into the whole. If we convert, we can write 4x square is equal to 2x whole square. So plus minus y square plus z square plus 2x into minus y plus 2 into minus y into z plus 2 into 2x into z. So it would result 2x plus minus y plus z whole square. So we using these identities, we can easily factorize the equations. So that's all about this exercise. Thank you.